Good morning, and thank you for your patience with the long-awaited directory plugin training video. So I just want to go ahead and show you really quickly what that looks like on the front end. So when you go to resources and you hover over and click directory, this is where people are brought to in order to search for different organizations, businesses that they could find different care for seniors, caregivers, families in the local area. So whenever you scroll down, you'll see how we configured it here. They can put in certain keywords here, and they can also search by location as well. So they've got all of the ones that we've already added are shown as a default. And so if I were to go in and I want to look for a lawyer, I would click that, or I'd type that in here, click the search. And as we can see, whenever that loads, I've got all of the different places that are associated with that keyword. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you in the back end how we got it to work this way, what you'll need to do whenever you're updating or adding any sort of keywords or places into the back end of your website. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the back end. Whoop. There we go. Alrighty, let's see, we'll log in. Okay, and we're in the back end. So the name of the plugin that we used for your directory is called GeoDirectory. I think in the previous overall website training video, you had seen when we were in the pages area that some of those GD pages are referring to the GeoDirectory plugin. Again, you don't have to worry about these pages. That's more so something that PGM can go and take a look at and update if need be. But just so you know, for your use, you will probably be in two places, no pun intended. The actual GeoDirectory plugin dashboard, and then this section over here on the left says places. This is where you would go when you're actually wanting to add organizations into your directory. So we're going to go and start there. And as you can see on the left-hand side, you have all these options to add a new place, view all your place tags and place categories, as well as go over any of the settings. I don't think you need to worry about any of the settings, but I know that you'll probably want to eventually add new places and maybe add some different categories and some different tags. So let's focus on places first. So whenever we clicked, we're automatically brought to the places area, and this shows all of the different organizations that we added for your directory. So as you can see, we've got the name of the organization, where it's located, what category we've put it in, as well as tags, and you'll also be able to see who the author was. So I'm going to go into Food for Greater Elgin as an example. So when you are adding a new place, as it were, you would click Add New on the left-hand side here, and this is the same display that you will see whenever you're adding something new. So this area up here will be blank, and you'll just put in the name of the organization. And let's see, once you do that, if you want to put any specific descriptions about this place, you can do it here. Usually the only time that I put that in is whenever I want to add a distinctive side note about the days, the hours of operation. There were some organizations, for example, that let's just say they're open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. They're also open on Saturday from 9 to 12:30 p.m. But that Saturday is by appointment only. So up here, this is where I would, in italics, just put, Saturday hours available by appointment only. So that's where I would put certain notes like that. Other than that, I don't really put anything up here. I just kind of let the organization main details do all the talking. Okay, so whenever we're done there, we'll go down here, and this is where you can start filling in all your information. So the first thing you can do is put in a category for it. So when you click here, you'll see all the different categories that have that have been pre-populated based on the categories we have created. So if there's ever a new category that you want to add, I'll go ahead and show you how to do that in a second. But until then, feel free to just scroll through all these different categories, and if you think that your organization fits within any of these that you see, feel free to put it in there. So we had food. If I had like a couple different categories, then it would also ask me where I want the default category to go. You have to put this no matter what, but this gives you the option, if you do have a lot of different categories, to note what the main one you want to make sure is noted for this organization. Address is, as it's shown here, country, region, city, and zip code. And then what you want to do once you do that is click this button that says Set Address on Map. When you do this, it's going to populate down here a map view of that location. Now, sometimes certain things might cause you to maybe get an error message that says we can't show this. The reason that it will show you that is because usually it needs to specify the address. So what I would do is, if you get an error message like that, I would just go and Google the specific website address and see if there's another way to name it. Usually that happens whenever there's like a suite number and you try and put a suite number in here and then click the button. It shows like an issue placing on the map because of that. So what I'll do when that happens is remove the suite number or apartment number. I'll set address on the map just so that it shows up here, and then I'll just go back in and re-put the suite number, and then it will save when you click update. Not sure why that plugin operates that way, but that's the workaround that has been able to work for me. The reason that it's an important workaround is because if you don't set that address on the map, it won't show up properly on the front end of the page. So that's why we need to make sure that that's clicked and working. So if you have a suite number or an apartment number, just know that if you get a little bit of an error, it's probably that reason. You just have to remove it from the address up here, re-click the button, and add it afterwards. So once you do that, the latitude and longitude will actually populate on its own after you click this set address on map button. So you don't have to worry about finding that exact number. Don't have to worry about this. This is where you can put the phone number. And then this is where you can put in the business hours. So whenever, let's just say, you'll see it's all blank at this point. There's an option to denote if it's open 24 hours. And when you click that, you'll see it kind of like hides everything here. So when I unclick that, I'll show you what it'll look like if you were putting in the hours. So you would just click over, you'd put here where the start time is, and then the actual minutes, and then the time of the day. You could also add a new set of hours. So let's just say, I know there was an organization that we put in where their hours of operations were specifically 8 in the morning to 12 in the afternoon. And then there was a space, and they were also open that same day from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Probably because noon to 1 is their lunchtime. So if you wanted to denote that, you could do that here. So if we wanted to say, we're also open at 12 p.m. and we are closed at 4:30 p.m. or something like that. You'd obviously put that up here first. That way we can show the same idea where, hey, we're open from noon to 4:30. We have an hour break, and then we're back open from 5:30. I believe that's to 8, so I'm going to change that quick. There we go. Okay. You can also, if you click this, that removes the hours. That's what I do in order for it to say closed. If you're not closed on Saturday, you can always do add new set of hours. If you are closed Saturday, you can always remove it. Time zone should automatically say Chicago, so I don't think there's any reason to change that. And then this is where the URL for the website will go. Once you add all of that in, you go up to the top, and this is where you can choose your place tags. So I would say, think of the word tag as the same meaning as this is the type of keyword that we want this organization to show up for. So for example, whenever I'm searching on the directory for lawyer, you need to, because unfortunately it's the plugin is not automated to using AI automatically figure this out. You have to specify which organizations you want to show up if someone were to type in the word lawyer. If you don't do that, then the organization won't show up. So that's why place tags are so important. So for this organization, for example, we thought of a couple different words that we would think people might search in the search bar on your directory page, and we added them as place tags so that whenever someone searches for a food pantry, this organization will show up as one of the many options that would be displayed for people. So this is where you would add those tags. We could do choose from the most used place tags. So when you click that, it'll show you all of the place tags that, again, we've already went in and added for you as a start. And you can see all of them and click whichever ones you want to show up. And then if there's one that you're not seeing that you think would be a good word, or you think, based on the language of our people that might be searching, they might say that they want to do, let's just say it's a synonym for food pantry that you want to add in here. You could always just place it there and add it in. So we'll go ahead. And then whenever you're all done, you'd click, this will say publish. It says update now because this is already a published place. But once you're all set, you would go ahead and click publish and it would load on your site. Okay, so now that we've kind of done a quick overview of how to manually import a place, which everything that I just showed you was more so just so you could see where all the details are, and also so that if you're just adding one or two organizations, that's how you would probably do it. I'll go ahead and show you later what you would need to do in order to do a bulk upload of organizations. But for now, let's first go into some of these other subcategories. So I'm going to go and look into the place tags. And this is another place where you can add your tags. So you can either do it for the organization as you're manually uploading it, or what we did was, before we did a bulk upload of a bunch of nonprofit organizations, we wanted to make sure that these tags were already loaded so that we could easily apply them to a bunch of organizations at once, instead of going into each of the newly uploaded organizations and adding them manually one by one. So this is where you would go to do that. So if there were any additional, remember, tag in this case is kind of like a keyword. What word would you want to associate with an organization that you think people might use in the search bar on your directory? Whatever words you want to add there, you'd put them here. For your slug, you would just use the name of the tag that you're doing. So adult day programs would be, I usually do like the name of it. So adult day programs. And then I put the word tag just so that this does not get confused with any other actual pages on your website. So that's what you would put for the slug. If you want to put a description, you can do it right here, but you do not have to. And then you would just click this add new place tag button and it will show up here. And it's nice because it also shows you how many of the organizations you have listed as a place use this tag. Alrighty, so now we're going to go and look at the place categories. I'll show you how to add new ones. Similar to the place tags, this is where you can see all of them at once, and this is where if you wanted to add a bunch of new categories, you could do that here. So you would just put in the name of the new category that you want to add. So the difference between categories and tags are specifically creating the words that you think people will probably use in the search bar and adding those and associating them with different organizations, whereas the category is more so just categorizing all of the different organizations in one area. And that's more so to help people understand what kind of organization it is. Some of them are easy to understand, like if it's a law firm, obviously it's legal services that people are going to be able to see as the category of that organization, or basically the industry. That's a good way to be able to describe categories. Categories are the industry that the organization is a part of. But some of them might not be so easy to deduce, especially if it's like an overall senior care nonprofit organization where they offer protective services and they offer food services and they offer different live-in care facility services. If they offer a bunch of different areas, then you can add different categories so people get a quick glimpse of all the different things that that organization has to offer. So another recap, tags are keywords for the search bar. Categories denotes the industry of that organization. So we have all these already pre-made. If you want to use these, feel free to go ahead. You can see, again, similar count of how many organizations we already loaded in are denoted as a care coordination, as a live-in care facility, nursing home type of organization. But this is where you would add new ones. So you'd add the name of the category that you want, the slug, which for this one, again, if we had added care coordination, what I would do for the slug is care-coordination-category to make sure that this doesn't compete with any of your web page URLs. If it made sense for your new category to be a subcategory under one that's already denoted here, then you would go ahead and put that here. Again, description, optional. I usually just keep it empty. Nothing else here. You don't need to put anything there unless you want to. It's all just kind of based up to you, but right now we don't have that because it's not necessary. And then once you do that, you would do add new place category at the bottom, and it would, similar to your place tags, show up here once it was uploaded. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and show you the settings of the places just so you know what's going on here. So these are the different fields that we've chosen to be shown for a different organization entry. So whenever we were going through all the different fields you would have to put in if you're manually adding a new organization to your directory, this is where we choose which fields we want to add. So if you ever in the future are like, hey, we also want to start including an email address for the different organizations, this is where you would go ahead and just add that in. I will say some of these fields are required, so make sure that if you want to add this in for your organizations that you have a good email address for every single one, because if it's required and you add it here, this is going to update the fields for every single organization, which means every organization, for example, is going to need the email field. And if the email field is one that's required, you're going to have to make sure you've got an email address for every single organization. These are the ones that we, based on the resources document that you sent over to us, these are the ones that we felt were best based on the information that we had. So that's why we chose these and organized them as is. If you ever wanted to move them around, you can do that over here on the right-hand side. You'll see 6 of these dots, and that lets you move the different fields around. This isn't a front-end user option. This is more so in the back end for us to use. So this doesn't, this is more so just how we want all of the different organization details to be displayed and what order we want them to be. Okay, so next after this, I'm going to go ahead and show you what to do whenever you're wanting to do a bulk upload of organizations, which I know that there's a lot still to add. So this is probably going to be the most efficient way to get all of those uploaded with consistent categories, with consistent tags, the whole shebang. So in order to do that, that's when you're going to start going to this GeoDirectory plugin. So we're out of places. We're in GeoDirectory. When you get there, you'll automatically be taken to the dashboard, which is great, but that's not what we need. We're going to go to settings for this. After we go to settings, we're going to go to the import export tab at the top. So what this tab is going to do is it's going to allow you to export a sample CSV file that you can use to easily add, basically as a template. It's going to allow you to export a CSV template for you to then input all of the organization data into. And then whenever you are done with that CSV template, you'll take that and import it here, and it will automatically upload everything for you. The reason that we recommend doing this is because there's certain coding and ways in order to have this plugin automatically import all the different details for all the different fields that we've put in for the places. By doing this, it will just kind of automatically take care of all the specific codes that you would need in order to have it import correctly. So in order to do that, you're not going to look at this one. You're actually going to start with the one below where it says Export CSV. And we're going to go ahead and click that button. So what this exported file is going to do is it's going to show you all of the current places that are in your GeoDirectory plugin. We're going to use that as a template for you to add in additional organizations later. So once it says complete down here, you'll see this hyperlink. I'm going to go ahead and click that, and as you can see, there's this downloaded file. And whenever I open up that file, you'll see that this is a quick spreadsheet of all the different organizations that are, again, already input on the website. So we've got the Aspen Dental Associates, for example, and that's, again, these are the IDs that I was talking about, where when you do this, it will take care of all the coding. So the post title is where you're going to put the organization name. The post content is that description field where if there's any specific details about the hours of operation, you'd put that there. So what you're going to do is basically go across all of this and see all of the different ways that they formatted this sheet. This is going to be helpful for you so that whenever you're importing your sheet, what we recommend you to do is just copy maybe the first 2 rows so that you have an example. Here we go. I would copy that. I'd open up a new spreadsheet. So for me, that's in a Google Sheet. Or you can do that in a Word or in a Excel file if that works for you too. I'm going to go ahead and paste those 2 rows. And so now what I have is basically the building blocks for me to go into the already created resources spreadsheet that you had sent us. I'm going to basically take that information, re-enter it here, and then once this is all filled out, I'll upload this new file to the settings. So for example, let's just say we're going to add PGM as an example. So these are the fields that I would just delete. These are the columns that for importing purposes, you don't need. You don't need the ID because this is going to be a new organization. They don't have anything for that. The post status, you're going to delete that one. Author, we're going to delete that one. Post type, you can just keep it as GD place. You're basically just going to copy this for every single one. Post date and modified, you can delete those. The tags, so any of the tags that are currently uploaded into your GeoDirectory plugin, you can add those in here and it will automatically take those tags and associate it with the new organization. Post category, this one you might just have to go and manually do because they filter it by numbers and that's not really helpful for us. So for those, I would just say go ahead and delete those. Delete featured as well. And delete that. And then this is where we have those informational fields. So street 1 and street 2. We have the city, the region, the country, zip. For latitude and longitude, if you're doing a bulk upload, my recommendation would be as you're inputting the data for your organizations to just do a Google search of what each one's latitude and longitude is. The reason that I recommend you doing that here is because they will still need that information whenever the organizations are uploaded onto the plugin. And so it's going to be a lot easier if you're doing data entry here, just to plug it in here, import it with all the other data points, and just let it auto-populate versus removing these columns, putting in all your data, and then importing this new file into the settings and then having to go for each place and put in that latitude, longitude, and click that add to new map. We don't want to do that. That's just too much extra work. So I would just say, go ahead and Google search all the different organizations, latitude and longitude, and put that here. You'll put in the phone number, business hours. So you can see this is how they want us to format that. So they're going to use, I think it's military time. I can't remember the name of that, but basically this is 8 o'clock to, I want to say that's 5 o'clock. So they put 8 to 18 hours. So whenever you're putting in the hours of operation, I'll show you what I would recommend doing in terms of making sure you get that same formatting, but that's where you'd put it. And then you'd put the website. Now, if you don't have post images, then you don't have to worry about putting anything there. So let's do a sample of an organization. I'm going to go ahead and put in Paul Gregory Media. For the purposes of this, I'll just say, for example, maybe we're open on Saturdays by appointment only. So I'll put open Saturdays by appointment only. We'll keep that to still say GD_place, and then post tags. This is where I'm going to add any of those specific keywords. So I'm going to say marketing agency with a comma. If there's another tag, maybe I'll say just marketing. You won't do a space in between those commas. And then I'll say digital marketing services. And then that's it. Street name, we're going to go ahead and put our address. So that's 50 South Main Street. I'll go ahead and put Suite 200. That's in Naperville, Illinois, in the United States. Zip code there is 60540. One thing I do want to point out is that if you do have organizations that have a specific apartment number and suite number, it might, when you import, I would always double check those and make sure that they did take the street to column correctly. If you want to double check that, what you could also do is just delete this column and then in column 1, put suite 200. It shouldn't work like that, but just based on my experience, sometimes there's technical errors with that. So I would just say, if you know that you're importing data about an organization that specifically has a suite number, an apartment number, or anything that could be listed in Street 2, once you're done importing all those, I would just go and double check that place and make sure that everything is displaying properly. So in order to find the latitude and longitude, again, I'm just going to go ahead and do a quick Google search in order to find the exact numbers for this address. So I'm going to go ahead and take 50 South Main Street, Naperville, Illinois, 60540. As I was doing this for your organization, I found a really nice resource. It's just called latlong.net. I'm going to go ahead and put 50 South Main Street. I'll also put Naperville, Illinois, 60540. I'll click find, and it gives me the exact latitude and longitude. So I'll take the latitude, put it here, and put the longitude here. And I would just recommend that you keep this website as a secondary tab as you're inputting all your data. It's just easier. Okay, so for the phone number, that's where you would go ahead and put your phone number. I can't remember ours off the top of my head, so that works. Business hours. I want to go ahead and replicate the exact same format. So what I'm going to do is just copy and paste it in. And then that's when I'll go in and specify. So I believe we'll just put 9 to, we close at 5, so that's perfect. 18. Tuesday, 9 to 18. Wednesday, 9 to 18. So just make sure you know, like, if there's any hours of operations after 12 o'clock, that you just put in the right number there. Thursday is 9 to, again, 18. And then, let's see. We are closed Friday, so I'm just going to remove that entirely and make sure that it ends that bracket, and then you don't have to worry about updating that. That will be kept the same. And then here's where I would put paulgregorymedia.com, our website URL. And that is the data entry and how you do that with the correct formatting. So let's just say that I'm going to go ahead and actually make that all the same in terms of format. So let's go ahead and say that I went ahead, I added all of them that I want to do, and I'm ready to import this document. So then you're going to go into File, you're going to download it as a CSV. So if that's in Google Sheets, this is where you find that. If it's in Excel, it's the same kind of idea. You go under your File tab, you download it as a CSV. You go back to your GeoDirectory settings area, and then we're going to look at the import CSV. So I'm going to select a file. I'm going to go in my downloads and open that here. And I'm not going to do that right now. Let's see. And then whenever you upload that, it shows that it's imported, and it gives you the option to import the data now. When you click that, then it will add everything for you. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll go in and delete the Paul Gregory Media one just so you can see how that looks. So we'll say import data now. Okay, so those two were added. So in order to make sure that they're all good, what I'm going to go do is check out the places. So now that I've gone back to the places, we can see the two new places that have been automatically imported based on our spreadsheet. Now these are drafted, so in order to publish those, what you would do is you could just go over here on the quick edit and change the status from draft to published, or you can do that by clicking all of the different ones that you upload, all the ones that need to be published, click bulk actions, click edit, click apply. And then the nice thing here is that this is where you can make bulk edits to a bunch of different organizations. So whatever you checked off here, we can in one click place them in certain categories. We can add new place tags for them. We can change the status. So we'll change it to published. We'll make myself the author. If I wanted to add these to new categories, again, we decided to remove those since they were numbered weird. You can choose a bunch at one time and then just put them under the correct category. If you wanted to add additional place tags, you could do that here. As you see though, whenever we did upload them, they did end up taking those new tags, which is exciting for us. So once we do that, I'll click update. And now we can see that those are published. So again, since this Paul Gregory Media one, that was one where there's a specific suite number. So I'm just going to go ahead and click in there and make sure that everything looks good. Okay, open Saturdays by appointment only. Good. It's under the general. That all looks good. The latitude and longitude is input. But as we can see, for some reason, they didn't take the suite number for our address. So what I'm going to go and do is put a comma and do suite 205. That's good. You don't have to click this button. It already has the latitude and longitude, so that's good. We've got the phone number, and yep, that went ahead and uploaded correctly. I think I put the wrong time. I think it should have been 17 instead of 18, so that was my fault. But 9 to 6, that's fine. If I needed to update that, then I could just do this for all of them. And that all looks good. So then you would just go and click update here. And now you're all set. And when I go ahead and view the place, we can see how it shows up. This won't show up on the front end. That's just because we're logged in on the back end. But it shows my description, the address, all of the different information. I know that this was a lot to review, and there's a little bit more of a technical aspect to adding these, especially if you're bulk adding them. So please feel free to reach out if you have any additional questions, if you need help with any of your imports, if you need us to double check your new spreadsheet template, just to make sure everything is set up in the way that you want. I have no problem reviewing that if you want me to take a look before you click that import button. And for now, thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you found this video helpful.